Well, hey everybody. Guess who has two thumbs and just went to the Dark Ascension pre-release for Magic the Gathering? This guy. And as far as the tournament goes, I fucking sucked. I mean, the cards I got were complete trash. I had nothing to do. I made a white-blue spirit deck, which I guess you could call it a spirit deck. It didn't work out at all. I ended up going 1 win, 4 losses, and a tie throughout the entire tournament. I did horrible. Man, kind of pisses you off, especially when people start pulling out. This one guy had Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, and Liliana from, Sorin from Lord of Innistrad from the Dark Ascension series, and Liliana from the Innistrad series in one deck. And the best card I get is something that was basically useless to me. So, as far as the overall tournament is concerned, didn't do so hot. But, seeing as how Dark Ascension is about to come out, we just went to the pre-release, I felt like it was a good time to turn on the camera and do a quick little review on the recent Dark Ascension series to come out. So, let's take a look. I know you can't see it, but right now, just off camera, I have my computer here, so we can look at all the cards that Dark Ascension has to offer, thanks to Wizards.com, and we can kind of give a good assessment of how this is going to work. Alright, as always, I like to start with the good parts, and there are some really great parts to this one. The first one I have to bring up is the artifacts, the planeswalkers, and the creatures that cost 2 different mana. The one that I originally came up with was the Chalice of Life and the Chalice of Death. Chalice of Life, basically you gain 1 life for the Chalice of Life, and then if you have at least 10 life or more, then you transform the Chalice of Life, so it transforms into the Chalice of Death, which target player loses 5 life. That's rough. That's rough. And I guess I should point out before I go any further, the flip card rules that they use for Magic in Innistrad, I guess the trial runs, they have gone all out here. There are tons of flip cards, and they are beastly. Now this one is my personal favorite. Elbrus the Blinding Blade. Now it starts off as an artifact equipment, and you equip any creature for 1, and it gets 1/0. And then as long as you do damage to a player or a creature, it flips and turns into Withengar Unbound, which is a 13/13 flying intimidate with trample. And this is really good, especially if you play with multiple people. Whenever a player loses the game, put 13 1/1 counters on Withengar Unbounded. Fuck! That is rough. Especially me, because normally I usually play with my friends, and we usually play in like a 5-person free-for-all or a 6-person free-for-all, or variations like that. So if you're playing with multiple people and you bring this guy out, you are going to destroy. Hands down. Other cards. Here we go. Of course, we have the Planeswalker, Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. Pretty badass. As far as his abilities go, pretty standard for Planeswalkers. Add 1 loyalty to him. He gets a 1/1 Black Vampire creature token with lifelink onto the battlefield. Take 2 off, you get an emblem with creatures you control get 1/0. And then if you take away 6, destroy up to 3 target creatures and or other planeswalkers. Return each card put into a graveyard this way into the battlefield under your control. Sorin. Let me tell you about the tournament that I was in. Now, I got completely screwed. I'm just going to say that right away. I got completely screwed in this tournament. But the one thing that was a really big kind of streak with this one is that basically anyone who had Sorin in their decks was winning. I saw one or two times where Soren came out and the person ended up losing. Soren is a game ender, and that's just the way that it is. It's a really good card to have. Let's see here. Yeah, Diagraph Captain is a blue-black zombie soldier that has Death Touch, and other zombie creatures you control get 1/1. Whenever another zombie you control dies, target player loses 1 life. Now, my friend Matt plays with a blue-black mill zombie deck. If he puts this in there and brings him out, it's a game ender, complete game ender, because one time he had the Undead Alchemist out and 200 zombies thanks to Endless Ranks of the Dead, all over but the crying. Good lord. And if he puts this in here, it's going to be over even quicker if he gets a hold of it. And the one thing is, it's an uncommon. Just looking at here, it's an uncommon. So, yeah, pretty strong stuff here as far as artifacts and the multicolored players go. As far as the other ones go, alright. So, basically, from the overall story point of Innistrad is where you have all these creatures, vampires, werewolves, so on and so forth, and the white's kind of these humans who are trying to survive in this world. This is what happens if Liliana took over this land, and now all the humans are fucked. So basically, on this principle, black and blue are really strong in Dark Ascension. They are very strong. I'll pull them up here real quick, and I'll get you some cards. Let's see here. Here's one. The Ravenous Demon, which was the promo card for this one. Sacrifice a human, transform Ravenous Demon, which he starts off with a 4/4, and then he turns into a 9/9 flying with trample. The only problem is you have to keep sacrificing humans, or else he starts doing 9 damage to you. So, it's kind of a win-lose, but if you are at that stage of the game where you need a little extra push, maybe that 5 life counters, to finish this person off, this will do it. Unless if you're playing with a strong human deck, which Dark Ascension really does not give you that many options for that, by the way. So you kind of have to mix with Innistrad. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's definitely a game ender. He's definitely something you pull out the last minute, or unless you know how to control him. Other than that, Zombie Apocalypse has a comeback. Return all zombie creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tab, then destroy all humans. I play a white human protection deck. This card scares the living hell out of me. Let's see here. Let's pull up some blue. Beguiler of Wills. Gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to. Alright, that one's pretty good. Yeah, as far as blue goes, it's once again strong. It's gonna blue's gonna kind of work off Innistrad series. It's definitely on its own, it's not too fantastic, but if you mix it with the Innistrad, if you mix it with another color, it's really going to help you control the game, like blue always does. There's a lot of taking the opponent's creatures and using them. There's a lot of dodging. There's a lot of, if you play mill decks or self-mill decks, there's a few in there that'll help you as well. So overall, as far as Dark Ascension goes, the artifacts, the multicolors, and the blacks and the blues are really strong. They are very strong. That being said, I think we need to move on now to the lesser aspects of Dark Ascension. And as far as the bad is concerned, I'm going to have to say that red is kind of bad. And I don't think it's... And I'm going to have to kind of explain myself here. Red is bad because it feels like the creators of Innistrad and Dark Ascension needed red characters, and they just didn't have enough. So they kind of started taking from other ones. Because whenever I think werewolves, I think of green creatures. And whenever I think vampires, I think of black creatures. Whenever I think of humans, I think of white creatures. I don't necessarily think them as red creatures. And I know in the past there's been tons of times where these creatures intermix. The only problem with this one is that I only see a few in here that's anything other than those. There's like, here's a devil. There is one devil. Okay, there's two devils. Right, three. So, yeah, there's a few devils in here, but other than that, there's no real characters that are uniquely red. There's no goblins, there's no orcs, there's none of that stuff. And I just feel like red's a bit of a cop-out. Now, I'm not saying that there is not good reds in this one. Like, I can see one right here. Moonveil Dragon. Flying, each creature you control gets 1/0. It's a 5/5. It's a pretty tough creature. There's another curse called, I think, Bloodletting, where any damage is done to the player, it gets doubled. So that's strong too. I'm not saying that red's weak as far as the color, as far as everything goes. It's not weak. There's strong cards in here. I feel like it's a cop-out as far as the creation of the game was concerned, that they needed the 5 colors, so whenever they got to red, they're like, alright, we'll throw in some devils, we'll throw in a dragon, the rest will just kind of recycle from the other colors. Let's see here. As far as, I guess, seeing as how I'm about to tackle the other one, I guess I'll tackle green real quick. It's green. It looks really good, but I'm not the best judge of green because I don't like to use green at all. Green is not my style. My style is always white, humans, protection, things like that. Blue and black, I will sometimes play a blue-black deck. Not always, but it's mainly white, so I can't really judge green. As far as green is concerned, though, it looks really good. There's a lot of good cards in green. But if you're a green player, Dark Ascension's going to be kind of for you as well if you're also a blue-black player. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get to the worst part of this game. And once again, this is not like whenever I review a movie or something where something's really bad or something's really, just appalling. There's a lot of good white cards in here. I'm going with white. The ugly part of this one is white, by far. And there's some good abilities in here. The problem with white is the storyline, is that, in case you don't know, and I've kind of alluded to it earlier, basically in Innistrad there was this town of Gavany, which is where all the humans lived. The white humans, and by the way, I'm sorry if I pronounced stuff wrong, but I don't really care. I'm pronouncing them the way I see them. I'm sorry. But, as far as it goes, yeah, Gavany is this white town. Apparently, from the Innistrad to the Dark Ascension, Liliana has taken over, and the white creatures are pretty much, they're in dire straits. And these cards reflect it. And that is the problem. That's a really big problem with the series, is that all these white cards, they're, you can't really use them until you are in the dire straits to play them. Like, for instance, this new ability is called Faithful Hour. And Faithful Hour only really kicks in whenever you're at 5 or less life points. Which, once again, once you get the 5 or less life points, these Faithful Hour things kick into high gear. I mean, the abilities quadruple, basically, as far as help that these things can do. The problem is, you gotta get your ass kicked before you start playing these cards. Or at least getting the full effect out of them. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that can make this work, that can actually go down to 5 and then start just plowing the road. But I just don't... I just feel like the whites... I mean, the storyline reflects the white creatures have been destroyed. And there's really just not much here for whites, especially for me. I like playing white human protection. There's maybe 3 or 4 humans, the rest are spirits, and even the humans aren't all that great. They really aren't. So, as far as the ugly is concerned, it's gotta be the white, just because of the storyline and how much shit they're getting hammered with. I mean, they're getting hammered big time. So, tragically for a player like me, if I want to play Dark Ascension, I can't just play my white deck. I gotta mix white with something else. And normally, I don't like doing that all that much. So for players like me who like to stick with one color and just be happy with that one color, it is kind of forcing me to expand my horizon, which, once again, it takes me out of my comfort zone, and that's just me. But still, I digress. The whites just, even for my own personal preference, there's definitely bias here because I'm definitely a white strong player. But just looking at it from an overall point of view, the white's just not strong. It's not strong, and it could have been put a little bit stronger. And the new series that's coming out in May is called Ascension Rising. So I'm taking it that the white's going to make a huge freaking comeback in that series. But right now, I just can't get behind the whites. And for a little while, I'm probably going to be sticking with my white human protection deck. That's still standard, luckily. But because of that, that's definitely put a little dark cloud over Dark Ascension for me. So if you are a heavy white player, then Dark Ascension is going to hurt you. So fair warning to all my fellow white players out there. So overall, it's a great one. I mean, I'm nitpicking the white and I'm nitpicking the red. So overall, it's it's a very, very good addition to the game. I like it. I really do. I just wish that white would have been a little bit stronger, and I wish red would have a little more red central creatures than just kind of the leftovers of the other ones. So overall, I'm giving this one a 4. It's definitely good. It's definitely awesome. And the problems that I have with it are just nitpicks. But of course, being a Magic fan, you've got to expect that as the times go along, that certain series are going to be stronger than other series in certain areas, such as the Scars of Mirrodin and Mirrodin Besiege are very artifact heavy. It makes sense. So every now and again, your time's always going to come around if you're a one color person like me. So, very good, and I think that is it for me. So until next time.